Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Easter Pod. I'm your host, Corey Easterday, and on this episode, we are chatting with the one and only Paul Snyder, Sean Kett, and Mont Creamer. Yes, that's right, folks. You heard me correctly. 3 very distinct, very awesome guests on this episode of the Easter Pod. So, what happened was, for those of you that are aware and have been following along with me in this journey the last 2.5-ish years or whatever, I recently became a stand-up comedian a couple years ago, and I love it. It's been great, incredible journey. Keep trying to grow and get better and all that all the time. And I'm lucky enough to call the Charlotte comedy scene my home scene, where I do a lot of the shows that I do and where I've been able to grow a lot as a performer. And Paul, Sean, and Mont are just a few of the many, many, many performers I've had the honor of working alongside at various shows that I look up to, that I respect, that are just out there crushing it, finding lots of success with their own respective comedy journeys. And, you know, the realities of being the parent of a toddler and having multiple different jobs, passions, projects, et cetera, et cetera. As you're well aware if you follow the podcast for any length of time, I'm only able to produce so many episodes per year. So I thought, let's try something new, something exciting. Let's start doing comedian roundtables, even though I currently recorded a square table. But what was cool is I got all 3 of these guys in. Like I said, they're super hilarious, super talented comics here in Charlotte that have performed all over the country with lots of big names and found success like on social media, on stages. Like, they're just killing the game. What's cool about this conversation was all 3, and myself included, are kind of at different like points in our careers. So we were able to bounce a lot of that perspective off each other. And honestly, we just did a deep dive on like all things comedy, their own respective comedy journeys, and lots of different like broad topics about comedy and the business of comedy. And I think if you're someone that's a comedian, you'll obviously get a lot of value out of it. It's a lot of like, it's got that vibe of like an after show hang and a lot of insider kind of talk and information. But there's also like, if you're just a comedy fan, you'd be hard pressed to find 3 better comedians to get into a room with and chat about comedy, and you'll really enjoy it from that standpoint as well. So I'm very excited because I'm hopeful this is the first of many in a series of doing these with my comedian friends that are here on the scene that I've had the pleasure of getting to know over the last few years. So I'm going to try. I'm telling myself I'm going to try to keep this intro brief because we went on for almost 2 hours in our conversation, but it's such a roller coaster. And of course, you know, we're comics, so there's a fair bit of messing with each other throughout as well that I think you'll really get a kick out of. But yeah, so I'm excited to bring this conversation to you. And as always, the Easter Pod is striving to bring you stories of rad humans that inspire you to engage the world with creativity and hope. That's kind of the mantra. So these 3 are absolutely a few of those humans doing that. And please check out past episodes I've released this year. William McNeely, CEO and founder of Do Greater, a nonprofit here in Charlotte. Super inspiring, incredible conversation I was able to have recently. And I think, let me look at my folder. Yeah, I think Carol Tyner was episode 40 that also released this year. She's another phenomenal comedian that's out there doing so many cool things. So check out the past episodes of the podcast. Interviewed a lot of cool people around Charlotte and abroad. Timeless conversations I truly think that you'll enjoy. So check those out. And you can follow the show at the Easter Pod. Follow me at the Easter Dude on all social platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Leave a rating, review, share with friends. All those things always help a lot. Really means a lot to hear your feedback and get those interactions. So special thanks to Easter Day Creative for joining forces with the Easter Pod to bring you these stories of rad humans, and to my friends at Token for helping to produce this episode. And yeah, of course, you can follow Paul Snyder at Paul Snyder Comedy. Follow Sean Kett at Sean_Kett_comedy, and Mont Creamer at Montgomery Major on Instagram. They have websites. We're going to put all the ways to connect in the show notes. So please be sure to connect with these guys. Go buy tickets to their shows. If you're in the comedy world, please book them. They're incredible comics, incredible humans. Can't recommend them enough in all the ways. So, oh man, I really shouldn't have had that extra coffee in that quesadilla right before I record this intro. So we're over 5 minutes now in the intro. It is what it is. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for being a supporter. And without further ado, my conversation with Paul Snyder, Sean Kett, and Mont Creamer. Well, folks, you are in for a treat because we're shaking it up and trying something a little new on the Easter pod today. I finally had to acknowledge the difficult time constraints of being a working dad. I'd start bunching up on my podcast guests. So I set out to get 3 of the funniest people I know in one room to see what hijinks ensue. Unfortunately, they weren't available. Low-hanging fruit. So I'm here with 3 of the other funniest people. No, I'm kidding. In all seriousness, these are 3 incredibly hilarious and extremely talented stand-up comedians and so much more based right here in Charlotte who are crushing it in rooms all across the land. Paul Snyder, Sean Kett, Mont Creamer, welcome to the Easter Pod. How are you guys doing today?
Why was I last?
I did it in order of funniest.
Yeah. Okay. I'm doing really well until you said that last part. I'm doing slightly worse now. Yeah.
That's right. And it's a balance in our world of me being genuinely encouraging that you guys are 3 of the best, most funniest people I know, and then knocking you down a peg in the same breath.
Well, it's nice to hang out with you outside of just random shows. I think you've shown your personality, which is okay.
I love that up until this point, Sean's like, oh, you didn't have a personality. Just today.
What was your name, by the way?
I kind of just solicited these guys at an open mic. I was like, hey, will you come do my thing? I want to use your clout to help rise my own.
I feel like I like Sean better just at an open mic. I feel like this whole podcast is going to be a struggle.
Yeah. He's a little less sassy. I mean, still some sassy, but a little less at the open mic. No, so basically just at the table, we all got connected through various, the thing about comedy I find so fascinating, coming from the music world, is it is kind of that single player sport a little bit. Like we're all on our own individual career paths, but you also have to collaborate and be in community and work with each other. So it's similar to like having been in a band where you're kind of in it together with different collaborators and people that you work with. But also so everyone's got connected and has their own like interpersonal dynamics. But for me, with the 3 of you, like I realized when I was going through it last night that Beer Temple is kind of the interlocking thing, because I first saw Sean perform at Beer Temple in early 2024 when I had just started doing comedy, and I made a really bad Sean Kemp joke to him afterwards. I was like, oh, Craig, I thought he was talking about Sean Kemp. And then Sean and I didn't talk for like 3 months. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Well, probably because I realized I was going to Carolina Beer Temple every other week since then. I was like, the career has not progressed, necessarily as we were hoping.
I know. I told Sean one time, I was like, oh, I admire your writing so much. He's like, this is where it gets you, bud.
Yeah.
So, and then Paul, I actually saw for the first time at Beer Temple because I remember Craig introducing you as the introverted comedian, and I was like, oh, that's a cool angle, and I really loved your set. And then Mont, the same. Like, I think I had seen you at one of the new material nights that you came to. You're hanging out with, like, Jason and everyone, Jason Allen King. Past guests, by the way, Jason Allen King, Craig Collin. Mm-hmm. But then I think I saw you maybe for the first time, so it's a little bit of a connective tissue there.
Yeah, I remember seeing you for the first time and having good thoughts. I don't know what to say there. I really thought you were Amish.
Mont's like, oh, that's not a bit, right? You're actually Amish.
I was like, you joke about it, but it feels real.
I was called Corey Yoder in high school quite a bit. I don't know if that was a term of endearment always, but
nah, probably not.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I'll answer that
Yeah.
one for you.
Yeah,
I
if it came in from high school,
Anything from
it's not affirming, I'm sure.
I was called worse. You can do a lot with the last name Easter Day, but yeah.
I think there is something to just the mic setup, and even ones like that where it is just us hanging out, talking to each other. You're kind of forced to interact with the other comics, and at least for me, who moved here 2 years ago, everyone's been super welcoming to me. Even Paul talked to me, which was cool, which he doesn't do that very often.
Somebody dared me.
Yeah.
I've regretted it ever since.
When we all get done performing, we can sit at the mic and talk, and Paul can be on his Switch
Yes.
playing games.
Exactly.
Incredible. Okay, so before we just spend an hour and a half cracking jokes at each other's expense, which I'm totally here for, by the way, let's do a quick, give me the 1 minute version of your or 1 to 2 minute, whatever, but just set the stage with your personal stories, like how you got your start in comedy, what's your kind of general background. Paul, we'll start with you.
No, I didn't want to do that. I was hoping he'd call somebody else.
He doesn't want to talk.
I didn't
Paul didn't raise his
I
hand.
didn't. I wasn't making eye contact or anything. I was like, please don't choose me. Let's see. I got started really late in life. Always wanted to do comedy, but just too scared to do it. And I had coffee with Tara Brown. She and I worked at the same company, and I knew she did comedy, so I just said, hey, can we have coffee some morning? And I got questions. And so she told me about her start, and she said that she had gone to a class at the Comedy Zone, and that's the first time I ever knew that comedy classes existed. And I just happened to be texting my wife under the table. I just said, apparently there's a comedy class at the Comedy Zone. And 15 minutes later, she texted me back saying that she signed me up.
Aw.
So she kind of kicked me off the ledge. I think she'd heard me say enough times, it'd be kind of fun to try it, that she was just like, do it.
She wanted you out of the house.
She did.
That's awesome.
There's something in it for her.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me.
That's so cool to have someone just be that support system to kind of give you that first push.
Yeah. So, and she used to go with me to the worst open mics ever. And finally I was like, honey, you don't have to do that. It's bad enough for the comics that are there. You don't need to suffer too.
I think my wife realized early on too, I don't have to go to every single.
Yeah, no. She's selective in what she'll come to.
I feel like you can tell how long someone has been with their significant other based on whether they come to the mics. And if they've been in comedy for a short period of time, you'll see their girlfriend, and then all of a sudden they'll just fade away, and
It's always really cute to me to see people clearly just started dating and they're at everyone. And I'm like, good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest son has brought 2 different girlfriends to a show.
Wow.
And then soon after, that girl was broken up with him. And I was like, dude, maybe don't bring her to a show. I was like, I don't want to say that it's all that, but it's pretty, 2 times is quite a coincidence.
It's a pattern.
it's not a coincidence anymore.
it's not.
Yeah, first
The
time.
first time it was. The second was like, okay, I think there's some signs.
That's my dad on stage telling ha-has.
That's incredible. Mont, how about you?
Oh, man. Kind of the same thing. I'd always wanted to do comedy for the longest time. So I've been writing jokes for probably 6 or 7 years. And I just never had the courage or probably the time. Living in New Orleans, there wasn't really a comedy scene. So when I moved to Charlotte, in between New Orleans and Charlotte, I was like, all right, when I get to Charlotte, this was 3.5 years ago. So I said, when I get to Charlotte, what am I going to do? What do I want to pursue? And I really intentional about journaling every day to figure out what was going to sort of scratch that itch.
Wait, sorry.
That was pretty funny.
Sean just gave Mont the light.
That means I have a minute, Sean. I was not going to be another minute.
I was wondering when you're going to start doing those jokes you wrote.
Yeah, I haven't even pulled out my joke.
I was like,
but no, I decided that comedy was something I really wanted to pursue, and I was going to do it as full-time as I could possibly do it. And I did the open mic at Crown Station for my first one, and it's all downhill from there.
it's starting.
No, it's been exciting, and honestly, the community's been so cool. to get to meet a lot of other great people who are pursuing comedy, because it's a grind, and it's really not something you'd ever want to do alone. So, so I appreciate the community that it's provided, especially in a new city, similar to Sean, moving to a new city, although he was doing comedy way before. But yeah, it's been great, and now I've kind of branched off into a few other ways to try and make comedy pay the bills, which is very different. But yeah, that was my origin story.
Nice. Sean?
Yeah, like Mont
think we're
said,
out of time.
I've been doing this for 45 years. So I started in Miami. If you can't tell from my voice and fat ass, I'm from Miami. I don't know if I can curse. I never curse.
that thick Spanish accent.
Yeah,
I literally was like looking up Sean's bio on his landing page, and it's like clean comic and
hey, come on.
never curses. And then first word he said, podcast.
This is
Hailing from a private gated neighborhood in Miami.
Whoa. Hey, the streets. No, I grew up in a very nice neighborhood, but I started actually, I did improv when I bounced around a couple different cities, and I did improv as a way to meet people. And then when I moved back to Miami, I did improv again, and they had a stand-up kind of in the side room, and I was like, hey, let me try to do an open mic, and I did that. And the first time I bailed, I panicked, and then I came back and bombed, and then just kept going back, because you can do stand-up every night. You can't do improv every night. So just like I used to play basketball, it's like just a puzzle piece that you're always constantly working on. At least that's how I saw it. So I did it a lot, and then I got fortunate in that the person who was running that theater show, the stand-up show where I was doing improv, he moved, and they needed someone to take it over. So I got into producing pretty early, and it kind of helped me get more stage time and meet people. And then I moved to Charlotte 2 years ago, and yeah, everyone's been super nice to me. I moved here, and then here I am, taking over.
What? Taking over what?
Have
Taking
you
over.
ever not bombed at an open mic?
It's
That's still a trend.
It's actually more impressive than you would think. Yeah.
You've got your own streak.
Yeah, I'd
going.
say I'm taking over the worst comic in Charlotte title. Yeah.
I mean, I know Paul is also a fan of wrestling, as I will out myself as having grown up on that. And there is value in finding your lane, whether it's, bombing all the mics. You just got to stand out, have a character somehow that works. So.
Sean's the heel, just coming to tear down all open mics.
Yeah.
It's a perspective cleanser.
He does always tell the crowd they suck.
Yeah.
And they don't laugh at his jokes. I don't.
Why are you not laughing? That's supposed to be funny.
It's funny. Y'all don't know what funny is.
Oh, that's the best line. Is it me or y'all?
Yeah.
It's y'all.
It's y'all.
Classic way to win a crowd on your side.
Yeah.
It's you, not me. Incredible. Okay. I appreciate you guys kind of sharing your individual. So, all right, so Sean, Miami, you're from Raleigh, but
From Raleigh, but lived in New Orleans,
New Orleans.
for 13 years. Yeah.
Are you from the Carolinas, Paul?
No, I grew up in Tennessee.
What part of Tennessee?
Chattanooga.
Oh, I've been there once. I enjoy Chattanooga. It was a good. No, I like Chattanooga.
Way to try and make a connection.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Corey said he did 4 hours of research and doesn't even know where Paul's from. That's not a good start.
That's a city.
Well, like 3 minutes of it was on Paul because he didn't have the YouTube history that like Mont and Sean had. Yeah.
Can we get into that?
No, not.
I went down way more of a rabbit hole with like Mont's YouTube history in particular. So, but it.
I got to put them on private so fast.
Right after this recording, Mont's like private. No, it's nothing bad. It's Main Street in Chattanooga, right? The coffee shop. I'm just kidding. I got nothing. I was there one time. Okay. So and I'm from Ohio, so none of us are like except Mont from the Carolinas, but none of us are from Charlotte. But pretty common, but a little bit fascinating. But that's a great transition though with the Charlotte comedy scene. I know you guys like. So for me, I've experienced Charlotte's been my home for comedy. That's where I got my start. I did get to go home to Ohio and perform a bunch. Like in January, had some friends up there put me on shows and get to experience like a different comedy scene. That was kind of my real first like time doing that. You guys have all experienced the Charlotte scene quite a bit, other comedy scenes. Can you just talk about what you see as being the like key differences? Like what's the, oh man, Charlotte compared to other scenes is like, wow, it's really great for this, especially as kind of like transplants, pros, cons, whatever. I'm just interested to hear the comparison to like Charlotte and other scenes.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, Charlotte's the only scene I know. Really. So yeah.
So I started in Miami, and everyone assumes Miami is a bad scene, but when it's the only scene bad and not in a way of there not being a lot of comedy. It's just that it is a very touristy city, so you're getting a lot of people who are just in there for some kind of entertainment, and there's so many other things going on that it's kind of hard to keep their attention. There's also obviously a cultural difference, but at the end of the day, I think if you're funny, you can work in any. People know what laughter is, and sure, there's some references that work better in Miami, but that's every city has a difference, right? So I would say then I came up to Charlotte, and one of the benefits of Charlotte, unlike Miami, is that there's so many places to do comedy within 2 hours, I would say, or even maybe a little bit longer, that it kind of the scene grows because you're so close to other places to perform, or if you're willing to drive. Whereas Miami, you kind of have to commit to like a full day if you're going to go to other places. And I don't know. I mean, I think the scene it's growing. Even since I got here 2 years ago, I feel like there's more comedy clubs here than there were before. There's more people doing comedy, higher level of talent doing comedy. So yeah, I mean, that's at least what I've experienced as a difference.
Yeah, for me, Charlotte's where I started, so it's kind of the main scene. Something that's really nice is pretty much any night of the week that you want to get up if you got something you want to work out. It's not New York where you can get up 3 or 4 times in a night, but it's definitely somewhere where if you devote the time, there's a mic somewhere pretty much every night. So it's cool to see venues start to open up their doors to comedy, and people get excited for it. I mean, I think the shows that are happening now are pretty high level. The producers are putting on good stuff, and obviously having Duckworth come to town, like that's been really nice. They're supporting the local scene in a big way. So yeah, I mean that's been cool. I've been fortunate enough to do jokes in Atlanta, Denver when I've been out there for work or whatever. So it's fun to see your jokes kind of built here, and then you really get to try them in other places that haven't necessarily heard the other 50 iterations of the joke. You get to go somewhere to like somewhere in Atlanta where you're like, all right, this is the final joke. And to hear it done to people that haven't heard it before is always really fun. And it kind of shows that it's a good place to be, a chance to get up every night, a chance to really tell jokes. I don't get up every night, but I know Sean definitely probably takes advantage of all the open mics. He's kind of an open mic king.
I just keep bombing. I got to keep the streak alive.
You can't rest. You got to keep that streak going.
They opened up another $2 mic, so
if I bomb today, I better go do it.
Yeah.
So man, so many questions off that. What I wanted to kind of to your point, Sean, of talking about like how many comics and what I'm trying to figure out how to frame this question. Because I feel like there's 100+ comics in Charlotte. I mean, it's one of those like, it's one of those art forms that is much like podcasting or music, what have you. There's like a very low barrier to entry, but to actually be successful at it requires so much like grind and hard work. So I just wanted you guys to kind of put in context, like how does it feel knowing that there's like I'm talking to Mont Siri on his watch. That's funny. Siri's like, what is going on?
It's not like me being here. It's like,
Siri's
is everything
telling
okay?
Mont to get out.
It's like,
Mont, are you?
blink twice.
So just help me understand, like, as the newbie of the group, essentially, what does it mean to a scene to have that many comics? Is that overall a great thing? Can comedy be oversaturated? Does it depend on, like, just put that in context for me, having that many people?
I don't think it really matters. I mean, in Charlotte, a new comedian is like a new brewery. Like, there's going to be one every week. But, like, in the past few years, there's also a ton of comics that don't do it anymore. So, yeah I think it just ebbs and flows. I think you just got to kind of be pretty hyper-focused on what you're doing and not get too involved in what other people are doing. You can be supportive, but like it's never a competition. So I just try to stay in my own lane and
Well, I absolutely view it as a competition.
Paul reports my Instagram reels all the time. I'm like,
I'm trying to get Sean shut down.
I love the idea. I love visualizing Paul sitting there at home
Yeah,
just trying to suppress Sean's algorithm.
I report every comedian in Charlotte.
Inappropriate content. Inappropriate content.
Yeah.
No, one thing that I've noticed just in the time that I've been doing it, to echo what Paul said, it's kind of the stick-to-itiveness. Like, a lot of people, it's so easy to get discouraged. I mean, you could have like a Sean set, like a full bomb, and get so disappointed, or some other comic could really just like say something mean and off color to you, and you're like, well, I'm done. And that happens a lot. People will come in and they aren't ready for the grind of what it takes to like actually pursue it. And the amount of times that you're going to go and perform for a beer and chicken tenders, like that's the kind of thing that you really have to be able to stick with. And I'm not even saying that I might be the guy who's going to deal with that the whole time. But I mean, it's really the ebb and flow, like Paul said. I mean, it's very much like people got to stick to it. There was a comic who, when I was getting started at the heckle mic at Triple C, came up and was just like, what are you doing here? We don't need any more comics. That was like his heckle towards me. I was like, that's really mean. And I thought about it. He came up to me months later and was like, oh, I didn't realize that you were like really going for this and really doing it. He's like, that was really mean of me. And I was like, well, it was a heckle mic, and I have a voodoo doll with your name on it. Yeah. But no, it's the pursuit, right? You have to love the process. So
I had so many conversations early on with Tara where I wanted to be on every show. And then I would see people who were on shows, and I was like, well, why didn't I get that show? And she basically is like, if you're going to do comedy for the long haul, you got to stop the comparison or, peeking on every other comedian to see what they're doing and where they're booked. She's like, it's unhealthy. You're going to drive yourself nuts, and you're going to lose all the joy that you get from doing comedy. So if you're going to make it, you just got to ignore what everybody else's world is going on, because that's not going to help you.
Yeah, and there's also a difference between types of comics, right? And this is, there are a lot of people who are doing comedy here, but at the same time, there's not as many people here who are doing comedy full time and really making a career out of it. I think Charlotte typically has been a place where you get to a certain level where you can outgrow the city. Although I will say I think that's changing. More and more really talented full-time comics are moving here for different reasons. But, I think that there's good and bad to that. I mean, the good part of it is I think you learn from watching people and seeing comics in the scene grow. And when you go to a mic and you see someone who's really talented, you learn from watching that, right? And as the scene grows, I hope more and more people are like that, and they go out and you like watch local shows, or you go to Duckworth, or you go to these comedy clubs. And I think you need to watch other people, because it's like you said, it's an individual thing. So I don't know how you teach yourself to get better at comedy without learning and watching other people. And obviously watching Netflix is a little different. So yeah, I think that was one thing. In Miami, you had a lot of people who were working cruises and doing it full time. And so there was like a certain level of talent there that you could really learn from. And I'm excited because I think Charlotte is becoming that. But as of right now, I think that there's still room to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And I appreciate what you guys kind of touched on, especially you, Paul, too, of the comparison thing and the grind. And basically there's a key piece of wisdom in everything each of you shared there about that. And for me, I think there's so much truth in like realizing where you're putting your energy creatively and not doing the thing exactly what you described, where comedy is kind of a weird business to be in, because there's a certain ego to it where if you polled a room of like 20 comics, probably every single one of those comics is going to feel like they should be on every show, and that they're, that we should all have this kind of level of success all the time. But that's not always reality. Comedy's a grind, it's creative business. It's very subjective a lot. And learning how to like not do the comparison thing. Like I was talking to our mutual friend, Carol Tyner, recently about that. And I was like, I made some comment about like just I think I was trying to make a joke or whatever of like, oh, I just sit at home on Instagram and I'm looking at everyone's shows or whatever. And she was like, that's a complete waste of your energy. Like, don't, she was like, serious. She's like, don't do that crap. And I was like, that's a fair point. Cause, for me as basically having my comedy journey and my becoming a new dad journey in lockstep with each other, there's so many nights where everyone's out just like grinding it. And I'm like holding my daughter to sleep. And I'm just like, oh, that doesn't feel great because I have passion for this and I love being around friends and I want to do well and keep growing, be successful or whatever. But to Paul's point, it's like you start to learn if you're in it for the long haul that you have to channel all of that and put it into like the positive. How can I write more? How can I get better? How can I lift others up? How can I help build up the scene? Create all that stuff. So comparison, I think, is a key point. And also, like you guys are saying, there's levels to it. Like there's a difference between I got up at an open mic versus like I'm trying to grind this out full time. So I think that's important. But overall, it's such a weird, like we all kind of have that mindset, but there's that balance of we all still need each other to a certain degree, especially those of us that are trying to like be in it for the long haul,
Yeah.
No, I agree. And one thing that Sean mentioned that I'll sort of echo for him was every show that he goes to, we go to a lot of shows together just to see like national touring acts and headliners. And we've seen some really good ones. And we've seen some that we're like, how in the world is that person getting a weekend at a club? But every show that we leave, Sean is very intentional about being like, what is something I can learn from this comic? Even if they were awful, even if they made no sense. And my brain, I don't know maybe I'm not wired the same way, but I'll be like, dude, that was bad, and just walk away. But Sean's he's helped me be more intentional about being like, oh, he had good stage presence. Oh, the way he structured this joke to be like this. So it was really, that's part of the community to help build you up overall.
I'm so glad you pointed that. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that's a great place to channel your energy. Is like, what can you learn from everybody? Like, really lean into that because it's that dichotomy of like but we all have so much to learn all the time too. Like, there's something each of us brings to the table, quite literally in the sense, but also figuratively, like doing comedy day to day, that is a strength and that can like balance each other out, or that you can be like, oh, Mont does that really well. I need to like try to work on that part of my game, or Sean does that part, and Paul, and then. I think just having those mentalities has helped a lot, me personally, but I think that's if you're going to be in the long haul, like where you put your energy is key. I wanted to ask, what do you guys think makes a joke translate from like, makes it evergreen, for lack of a better word, like can translate from show to show, state to state? Like, what do you think makes comedy do that versus like, do you think there's value in focusing primarily on that or trying to kind of personalize it wherever you are to, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, my idea is, I think you need a bit of a blend of everything, right? So the main thing for me is always authenticity. So the audience, I think, wants to see you as you. Now, if you can bring in something that's local, I think that's one way to kind of show them that you're in the room there with them. But at the end of the day, I think people want something personal. Not everyone, but I think that's one way that you can, know that you're going to be able to say your joke over and over again because it's something that's personal and, theoretically you won't get too tired of that. And two, know that, this is original to you because it has to be, because no one else, can theoretically be a tall white guy, and that's like, how do you do
excuse
that?
me?
Oh, wait. I mean, I wish I could. I mean, I'm thinking of changing my name to Montgomery Creamer, and that.
Okay.
Because people love that.
Then that name would finally be successful.
I'm going to be Montgomery Minor Creamer.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
God, here it goes.
His middle name's Major, for context. That's an important joke. Yeah.
No, I would agree with Sean on that, to be like, if it's something, one, you don't have to worry about anyone else writing a joke similar to yours if it's really about your life and your experience. So I think there's safety in that, but the jokes that I've enjoyed telling in other places are the ones that are like really personal to me, right? I do a bit about my name. It's like no one else could do that because God forbid there's someone else with my name out there. That'd be awful. I don't know. It's just there's jokes that are really personal to you, and when you work hard and you really narrow them down and scrape them out to what they mean, you can really build something that'll work just about anywhere.
And to that point, I was going to bring this up, Paul. I mean, your brand is like the introverted comedian. I mean, I feel like you do that like very, very well. Exactly what they're describing.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things in the comedy class I took. Like they really challenged each person that was in the class. Like, what is your angle that other people aren't, that most people are not going to have? And I was like, well, I got this introvert thing. So that was really early on. That was a lot of my jokes.
Which is crazy because off stage you can find Paul at like every rave, it's just never at home. It's like crazy.
I know it is.
It's actually the most extroverted comedian. We're talking about authenticity. That's the opposite for Paul.
So as I'm sitting in comedy class, terrified and not wanting to be there, I was like, maybe this is my angle.
Maybe this is my angle. I tried to quit after the very first class. I was like, I don't think this is for me.
And now your headline on that's incredible.
They talked me into going back a second time. They were just like, just give it another week.
Where I was like, I've already called you an Uber. You are going to this class. You are leaving the home.
And for me, I just sit there and I'm like, I might be one of the most ridiculous humans to ever exist. So I'm going to lean into that.
Yeah.
I promise you, I have stories that no one else has, and they're always like how weird I am. So
I'm glad you know that.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
there's a level of awareness that
Thank you.
feels good because I was thinking it.
Yeah, I thought I was your favorite laundry guy. I didn't.
Yeah.
Megan said that was funny. So Mont and Sean. Then I was going to ask. So how would you describe your styles?
Unfortunately, I think I'm still working on it. Right, I think that's part of the comedy process. Is you're kind of evolving. I think I'm a personal, self-deprecating storyteller would be how I would put it. But yeah, I think I talk about my relationship. I talk about me comparing myself to other people, and yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't, I try to find the funny and kind of simple things and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I try and make the jokes that I make really personal. Over the past couple of years, I've seen my jokes, while there is a lot of self-deprecating stuff, I like making fun of myself. I think if you make fun of yourself, that's the best person because nobody can leave mad. It's like, no, you just made fun of yourself. But I've found myself as I get more into like the roast battles and things like that, I find myself making jokes about, lighthearted jokes about other people, places, things, and stuff like that hopefully resound with people. I don't know, like making fun of Myrtle Beach. Like it's kind of an easy topic, but I try and come at it from a different angle because I have family in Myrtle Beach and stuff like that. So I've found myself just being much more like on the insulting side of things. I don't know.
He's really rude to me. I mean, like when he said people, he meant me. It's just like I'm not even at the show sometimes.
Why'd you use air quotes there? We're on a podcast.
There's a listening audience.
Wait, what?
That's a security camera. Still, that's
Oh, got it.
In fairness to Sean,
Sean's done everything as an act out so far.
Yeah.
he hasn't sat down.
It's just,
Sean's used to being cool and being a part of stuff that lives in the year 2026 and is on video. So the fact that this is just audio is probably like throwing him off.
really messing with his
We
game.
need to clip this.
I will say, Mont did start as soon as Sean pulled up today, and we were all outside taking photos with Megan. Just started roasting him immediately. It was just like a faucet.
I think that had to, well, what faucet roasts people? But that's neither here nor there. I think what it is I grew up with two older brothers who were twins, and so like if I like you, it's when I'm roasting you. That's just how I grew up, and I think I won't make fun of people or like even throw jabs at people if I don't think that one, they can take it, and two, like they're my friend.
Well, that keeps me safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On both accounts.
Well, I was gonna say, wait,
That's
yeah.
why I don't make fun of you, Paul.
Yeah, both accounts. That's good. I feel good now.
For your size, you're very intimidating.
Yeah. Okay. So pivot a little bit. I want to talk about producing. Paul, have you produced shows? No. Okay. Well, feel free.
Smart man.
No,
Feel free to chime in though.
Seems
Like,
miserable.
I'm just getting started. I'm still touching it. But no, feel free to chime in. But so Mont and Sean. So for those that don't know, both have produced a lot of shows. Mont especially started Crown Comedy here in Charlotte that does a lot of rooms across the city, and you, I feel like, have like made that your wheelhouse, at least up to this point, of like being a producer. So I just kind of wanted to lay out for a second, get into a few specifics with that maybe, but I just want to talk about, like, ask about the role of producing shows in comedy, why you do it, what are the benefits, downsides, all that stuff.
Yeah, I that's just where I kind of wanted more stage time, and I thought it was like to do 3 to 5 minutes at an open mic is great, but if you produce your own show, you can book yourself, which is great, and you'll get 10 minutes, 15, 20, you can kind of have that longer amount of time, which is kind of what you need to build up, let's say to get to an hour, or let's say to get to 45 minutes, whatever it is. But I found that my previous life in New Orleans was very much planning and executing events. So having an event background, it just kind of made sense. And what it was Monarch Market was the first company, I guess, to come to me and be like, we want to do a comedy night. I had no idea what that meant or how to produce a comedy show. I actually reached out to Sean for that very first show and was like, all right, let's team up on this, because he had produced a ton of shows in Miami and things like that. So Sean has been a huge help. And then since then, I have my little wagon and I will produce a show anywhere. And I think it's a great way to, one, get stage time, two, get to know other comics in the scene, and to kind of network by booking comics maybe from out of town. I know I have a show tonight that you're actually on, Corey, with a guy coming in from Atlanta. So it's like he'll get to see people, and then maybe when we're in Atlanta, it's a great way to kind of, I guess, cross-reference with other comics. But the downsides are real. Like it's a grind, and you'll find that for whatever reason, people will not like you because they feel like you're not booking them, or people will hit you up all the time to book them, and you're like, I'm not sure you're a good fit, but you try and remain nice without, I don't know. It's a weird middle ground to be in. I mean, I probably produce 5 or 6 shows a month, and it's just like, yeah, I want to get everyone on, but there's not always time, right? And I have a certain lineup that I have in mind, or that Sean helps book a lot of the stuff that I do as well. So there's definitely some downsides, but I think the upsides outweigh it, just in terms of getting that stage time.
What do you tell somebody that asked to be booked that just isn't quite ready?
He's left you on red a lot.
I know. That's what I'm wondering. That's kind of what I'm wondering. Like,
go back and look through your messages, Paul.
You haven't really responded. So is that your approach?
No, that's one of the hardest pieces. And Corey has actually, we've talked about this as well. I'm really bad because I don't see myself as like some outstanding comic. I see myself as someone who's like found a little niche where I can produce shows. And it's weird for me to be like, oh, you're not ready, when maybe they've been doing comedy longer than me. But I'm very quick to just be like, hey, look, we have this many shows, and I have a ton of people that want to do it. And maybe it's not the best thing, but I'll be like, hey, we're working to fill shows. But I'll steer clear of being like, I don't think you're ready, because realistically, I don't know if I'm ready. Right, so it's an interesting balance to figure out how to do that. But I know something that we've done for Monarch is those comics that were like, we're not sure, and they're asking to get a 10-minute set, and Sean and I are both like, we're not sure that they're ready for a 10-minute. So now we're doing like 5-minute guest spots where they can come test the water, and it's a little bit. They're not going to tank a show. 5 minutes is not going to bring down a show when you have killers on it like you, Paul. But like. That's something that we've done. We're kind of testing that out. And then if they do well, we'll put them in a 10-minute set later on. But give and take. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. As a producer, you have an obligation to the audience to give them the best show, because this isn't the only show that you're going to produce there. Hopefully, it's a business where you may produce monthly, quarterly, whatever it is. So, you just want to have the best comics on there. And I think to go back to your original question before Mont kind of just like freaking rambled there for an hour. When you're producing a show in Charlotte, I think Charlotte, you have to be pretty creative, and because there's not always that many opportunities to perform for yourself. So Mont did an incredible job of, one, making connections. He's an incredible networker, and then 2, expanding it to where now he produces shows all over in apartments, right? So maybe not a venue that you would think of, but it's apartments, or it's in his building on the 5th, really cool venues that he worked really hard to get, but you have to be very creative in finding those locations, right? So for an example, I produced a show literally in Paul's backyard. And
It was a humbling night. I had to open for Sean. It was,
In your own backyard?
yeah, it was. That was a humbling night for me.
But it's like part of a thing where a guy saw me at a show and he's like, "Hey, I want to do this," and then Paul saw me on a flyer that was weirdly mailed to him or whatever it is, but that's the kind of thing where that's not something that I normally would think to reach out to, right? But like, okay, what are other kind of neighborhoods that have an event space, that I can bring stuff to and go. So you do have to be pretty creative, I think, in Charlotte to build that stage time that Mont was talking about to get better and do, string sets together. So yeah, Mont was very kind to me, asking me to help him with the Monarch show, and then I just never got off. But then, I think it makes sense, and I think producing with someone else is also very helpful. It's something that I think I may have told Mont early on and then agreed, and I know you guys are producing a show together, so it just helps because there is a lot of stress to producing a show that as a comic you don't necessarily want to feel before you get on stage, right? A lot of times, and it still happens, we'll be producing a show at Monarch, you're like, oh man, there's not that many people here, your mindset is not on, I want to do a good show, and then you get on stage, and I've hosted and I haven't hosted well because my mind's somewhere else. So when you have a partner, it can kind of alleviate some of that, or even be like, hey, this sucks and we're doing it together. It's all kind of connected. So that's kind of my take on it. Mont, you ready to jump back in?
No, I'm giving it to Paul. Giving it to Paul. What does it look like from your end, Paul?
Yeah.
It looks like too much stress to me, because you're trying, it depends, like if you're trying to sell tickets or just get RSVPs, you're doing that. You've got a lineup that you're trusting to not walk the audience. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of stress. And I would rather just get booked for one of those shows.
See, Paul's in a unique place that we're not in, where he gets booked to do long sets and tours and theaters. So, hopefully we'll get there someday.
Well, so before we get into the obvious transition of the show Mont and I are working on together, what I want to hear from both angles. So Mont and Sean, what makes the great quality show you described, generally speaking? What are the things you look for? And then Paul, after they answer, I'm curious, like, what's it like just purely from the comic side that makes a great show, in your opinion?
I think a great show, the first and foremost, the most important thing is that the venue wants to have you there. I think if they're supportive, then you can do a lot of things in a lot of random places. I mean, not to jump on your thing, but you guys did it in a laundromat, and it was a great show because the people who ran the laundromat were there, supportive, helped get things situated. And then, I think booking a good lineup to where you don't have to stress about the product that you're giving to an audience, that is really alleviating when you see the lineup and you're like, oh, I would actually go watch this show.
Yeah, I agree with that completely with the venue. If you have a venue that's really on board, you're at least half the way there because they're going to be telling their people. Every venue has people that like the venue, right? So if they're behind you and they're willing to, one, make the show free, which is, we've been really fortunate that some venues, I mean, we've been working at Monarch for almost 2 years now, and they've been able to keep a good show, and they're happy to have us there. So that's a big deal, and they help promote with us and all those things. As far as putting a lineup together, Sean's actually helped me a bunch with this, but it's finding people that maybe complement each other well. I probably stressed about it more early on, but now that we've been producing them a long time, I kind of have an idea of who melds well with who, what kind of crowd a venue is going to have, and that's how you can kind of book who's going to succeed. Because you also want to put comedians in a place where they are going to do well, right? I'm not going to book someone who's clearly not going to fit the certain room that I'm hosting, right, or that I'm producing. So I think there's a tag team relationship there of being like, I know this comic will crush in this room. I'm going to book them in this room. So that's part of it. And having multiple rooms is nice too, because I don't have to just pull from this guy. I'm like, I know he's going to crush. Let me push him in this room. Be like, no, there's other rooms for him later on.
I don't know what this says about you two, but we did book you guys on brunch shows, and we were like, Corey and Paul, brunch comics, definitely. That's the kind of guy we're looking for.
Yeah, we don't do the brunch show anymore. it's a night show now.
The one I did with Paul was the last one. This didn't go
Weird.
Well, it's probably because you'll have other shows to be getting to, and not many obligations at one on a Sunday.
For me, as far as walking in, I venue I think is really the tops because like either they're on board, like you said, or they don't really change anything. So like if I walk in, especially like if it's a brewery show and you walk in and like all the TVs are on, you're like, oh, this isn't right. This isn't going to go well. And I've definitely been. I was hanging at a brewery with a couple buddies of mine, and all of a sudden we watched somebody like bring in some speakers and a mic stand, and we're like, oh, it's time to go. Like, just a show that pops up where nobody wants a show.
Surprise comedy.
It was Mont,
It's a
actually,
surprise.
unfortunately.
Like when
Were they carrying the speakers or was it a wagon?
just when like a show pops up and you're not expecting a show to pop up, it's hard to win. It's hard to win the crowd for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And thank you for not making me jump through the guest spot hoop on my first Monarch Market. No, I'm kidding. No, so to be, I know I said wait, what?
No, nothing. Sorry.
No.
Nothing. Keep going. I apologize.
No, what was that?
You were our first person that we ever wanted to book on that show, so that's what we thought.
Yeah. We were so excited to have you.
They're lying to me.
We
right
knew
now.
you
What
would
is
bring your wife, and we needed people there in the
Right.
audience. Okay, and that's that.
happening? I don't want
I'm
to flex.
currently touching my nose.
I don't want to flex, but I did bring like five people that day. So,
At Monarch, that
was a
Big
good
part of the
brunch
crowd.
show, by the way.
it actually was.
Like, it was pretty packed.
I will say, some of the brunch shows early on were outstanding. They were better than the night show the night before, but eventually that enthusiasm.
Football kind of ruined it as well. 1 o'clock on a
yeah.
Sunday.
That was it. That became very difficult. And then they gave us the Friday. That's another thing. Monarch Market. I'm just keep using them as an example, but they were like, "What night do you want? You can have whatever you want because you're actually putting people in this space that nobody uses." And so to have a venue that's like, "You want Friday night," which is they could do anything up there, but they gave it to us. So we have Friday night and Saturday night there once a month, and that, to give us sort of prime space has been outstanding, and that's also part of having a venue that's really on board.
Yeah, and I'm going to push past my deep-seated insecurities that you were whispering to each other. Oh my God, we totally meant to book a different Corey, and we accidentally booked him instead of like being genuinely complimentary. But
Your first set, was it 5 or 10 minutes?
it was 10.
Okay.
Yeah, he ran the light. He didn't.
I didn't run the light.
understand
You gave me 10.
Not what I remember.
All right, we're gonna push past the portion of the podcast where Corey starts to get deep in his feelings for no reason, and be genuine. No, you guys. So one of the reasons I asked Mont to help me produce a show and keep that for Mont and I as having had a church background, keep that discipleship train going of the
Wow, there you
pull
go.
that out. There you go.
Okay.
No, so but you guys have all I love doing that Monarch show. Especially loved opening for Paul. Like that was I think the first time I've seen Paul do like a proper headlining set. That was I just hadn't been to.
Like people laughed. It was proper.
It was proper.
It was
Yeah.
proper.
There were jokes. And
There were jokes.
people laughed. It was.
I watched too much.
I was unprepared for that.
I watch too much SNL UK, so I try to be British sometimes and just throw in like color with a U, random stuff. So no, that was the first time. So that was a fun show. You guys, you're all phenomenal comics. Like you're all some of the funniest people I know, genuinely. And you showed me what is possible for producing amazing shows. Seriously, like I feel like I know not every show goes well, or there's it ebbs and flows, but there's been a level of quality underwriting everything all of you have done in your careers, at least as far as I've experienced it, that really helped me understand, like, here's how you set the standard for what a great show is, and talking to you both. And I remember talking to Sean after one of the Monarch shows, because I did come back and do a guest spot a few months later, and it was like, we were talking about producing. He's like, yeah, one of the things me and Mont talk about is like, you can't just book your friends. You got to worry about producing like for the room, everything you guys shared. I don't want to be redundant, but we had talked about that. And so Mont and I started doing the spin cycle laughs at the laundromat show to try and achieve that same level of quality, because I have my nonprofit background with the laundry project that I've been doing since 2010, since I was in college. And I thought, just from having had lots of jobs and done lots of different creative things, I'm like, anytime you can blend several ideas together, like get 3 comics in a room instead of just one. No, I'm kidding. But anytime you can try to like find that kind of synergy, to use the corporate speak, it always works out pretty well. So we work with all these laundromats in Charlotte, and I know there's been like some iterations of laundromat comedy. So I'm like, all right, well, Mont went to Sean, helped me produce great shows. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Mont and Sean, had you both on the first show. Like, how do I produce a great show? And working together on that. And we talked about so many of the things you guys touched on. Like, I started to make because we have like a Google Doc, and I started to make a list of comics that were like reaching out to me to be on the show. And I quickly realized this is a total act of futility. This is like the boy trying to plug the dam with like all the, I was like, let's just get rid of that list. That's going to be everybody. Just assume everybody wants to be on it. But those little things of like Paul was saying, like, what do you say to people when they reach out? And I love what you shared, Mon, about it's not on, regardless of what, we all have opinions and we all try to be discerning, like what's a great comic, what makes a great show, all that stuff. But regardless of that, just kind of having the humility and the grace with people, like regardless of what your opinion is, having the diplomatic, like, hey, you know, we got a lot of shows we're working on, keep you in mind, that kind of stuff. But the difficulties of that, the like money aspect, like sometimes it's as simple as got to make sure the budget's in place for this month before you can start put all those little grinding details. So it's just so interesting to me to finally start to get in that world and start to learn those producing lessons. And exactly what you guys shared too, of the benefit of, and the reason I started doing it in part, I want to contribute to the scene. I want to add to this, like be in the game, get off the bench and be like a team player, to use the basketball analogies for Sean. I want to have the, and Mont.
I understand now. Finally, there's
I
clarity.
played basketball.
No.
Mont's like, or Sean's like, oh, I didn't get it until you started using basketball. But yeah, get more stage time, like start networking better. So I was really biding my time a lot in the dad mode, especially early on, watching what you all were doing to grow and advance. And I'm like, I would love to jump into that when the time's right. And so we have Spin Cycle Laughs. Paul's going to be headlining the next one here in a couple weeks on June 9th. And I wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit because Paul hasn't done it yet, but you guys have. So give me that perspective of seeing, and not, you don't have to make it about me and my role as the producer, but just what it's like kind of jumping in on a new show that has to me, it's the exciting kind of weird vision of like, all right, do it in a laundromat. But like, what do you think made that first one successful? Like, what's the perspective of watching someone kind of step into that role?
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see people produce shows, and then anytime you get a second show from that, it means that it went well. And, part of it was, I think you were really prepared. You had a bunch of, you had all the things that you needed, right? You had the chairs, you had the speakers, you had the space kind of mapped out. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's a couple things, right? Like you had also really fun comics. And when I want to kind of take a step back and realize like the shows that we're producing are not like comedy club shows. You don't have to like be that selective, but at the end of the day, you want to find people who make people laugh. And I think you did a good job of communicating to the comics what they needed. And, if today's any example, sometimes you need to remind people to be certain places at certain times and things like that. But
not anyone in the room. Just
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just, I think if you are someone who people want to be around, then the comics who you want to be on the show will be around, if that makes sense. You have to be and that doesn't mean you have to be like fake or anything like that, but people like hanging out with you. I would do a show for free if you asked me to, right?
Right then.
Take him up on that right now.
Right now.
That,
Book
get that in writing.
Book him for free. Right now.
I'll do anything for free.
I will take Sean's portion.
Yeah, that's not a commentary on me. That's like Sean will do anything. But
yeah.
I think you are doing a show for me for free. Essentially, actually, we could try to get some tips. But
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's I think just if you're having fun and you'll learn things about producing as you go, that'll like little things, but at the end of the day, a show is a microphone, speakers, and an audience, and then how you figure it out, you can always learn from there. But yeah, that first one, it was smooth, I think. So
Yeah, I was happy to serve like what Sean did for me. I was happy to do for you because that's sort of the pass it on mentality of recognizing not to overthink some things, because it is pretty simple. Like it's a microphone, it's chairs, it's an audience, and it's funny comics. And something that Sean mentioned was like, you're on stage for 10 minutes, 20 minutes if you're going to headline, and realistically, the rest of the time, I enjoy booking people who are a good hang, like who I can chat with in the back, who are respectful. There are a couple comics that come to mind who, when they show up, they're like, all right, what do you need me to do? Or thank you so much for having me. For people that are appreciative, people that respect the amount of time and effort that it goes into producing the show, that goes a long ways. I always appreciate people that know the amount of work that goes into producing. I think producers booking other producers sort of get that it's a hard work to put the show on, because we met 4 or 5 times before that first Spin Cycle show to make sure that show would go off without a hitch, and we talked about lineups. And what I did for you is what Sean did for me. And Sean's out every night telling jokes somewhere, so he's been really helpful in helping get shows booked because he knows all the comics. I can't make it out every night, but having someone else to bounce people off of, or also if people are like, hey, I'd love to get on the show, you'd be like, oh, let me talk to Sean. And then Sean will do the same thing, like, oh, let me talk to Mont. But,
Go talk to mom. Go talk to dad.
Yeah, right. But no, I think that's always been one of the most rewarding parts of producing, is watching a good show come together. And Spin Cycle was that. Spin Cycle, Paul, you're going to love it. It's good. It's a good show.
Yeah, this will be my second laundry show. I did one in Charleston, so I don't want to brag about my comedy career, but
That's not bragging.
Was it at the Reynolds laundromat? Was it in like North Charleston? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a don't tell, but it was at a laundromat.
Oh, nice.
It was in his back hall in front of his washing machine.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I produced that show there as well. Yeah.
That's how weird my job is. I'm like, oh yeah, I know all the laundromats across the country.
Okay.
No, I actually know the owners if it's the same.
They were very nice. They were both there.
If it's who I'm,
it was a husband and wife, and very, very sweet people.
if it's who I'm thinking of, we've had Zoom meetings and stuff before, and they're incredible people.
Okay.
So I love that. Small world. There you go. No, I appreciate the kind words from you guys about the show and everything you said is very encouraging. And one of the things I forgot to touch on was the collaboration aspect of it and of comedy. Is when I got started with the Laundry Project by being like, okay, there's this nonprofit in Florida that is crushing it with this. I have this idea. Let me reach out to them and try to, learn from them, and eventually, started working together. And even when I was in a band, we were like, where are the bands we can learn from? So I feel like I just wanted you guys to speak on the collaboration aspect of comedy, the partnership, because to me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. If Mont and Sean or whoever is out here crushing it with XYZ, let me go to them, try to learn, try to partner together, and be better that way than trying to do like a competing or side quest kind of deal. Like, I just wanted you guys to speak on collaboration in comedy.
I think it's huge. I used to play and coach basketball, and I think that there is something to getting feedback, and it doesn't, but it's also very individual. Some people don't like that. I personally am someone who is like, hey, any comic is like, hey, that joke didn't work for me. I just take that information in. That doesn't mean that I change things, but I know, we have a lot of close groups in Charlotte, and then even closer groups or, people who you're just friendly with. But, it's like there's a group of 4 comics who sometimes will meet up to write and, or like do shows together, and you're kind of trying to build each other up, or like, Paul and, anyone who I see something, I'll be like, hey, can I give you a tag? Whatever that is, and, vice versa. I think it's helpful because, if there's more good comedy is better. So
Yeah, I thought the show you and I did in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then it was like the next day was Valentine's.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you want to shoot a video? And
Yeah.
we thought it was going to be awesome.
Yeah. And
And
it was around.
It didn't.
Did you see it? Did you love it? Did you repost it? No.
No.
Well, all right, I'm out of here.
That's a shame.
But
Well, I shot a video with you guys and never even saw the light of day, so I was just like,
yeah.
I'm not going to repost it. I didn't even make the cut. I'm not.
No. Yeah.
No, I think to go back to the collaboration, comedy can very oftentimes be viewed as like very individualistic because it's just one person up on stage. But I think bringing people along and kind of learning something from people that have been in the game a little bit longer. I know I set in on Jason's comedy class just to like watch him teach and kind of get the gist of the class. I think you took the class. Did you take Jason's class?
Yeah, that was how I even got started. Was
Yeah.
winter of 2023.
But I set in on that, and it was cool. And now it's cool to see like a handful of those comics, but who are still doing it. I mean, it's a lot of it is just like the attrition is real, but to view it as a team effort has been really helpful. Like there have been cool opportunities that I've gotten, and I try to bring people along, and it's not expected, but I think if you're working hard, those same people will bring you along when they get a cool opportunity. So that's the teamwork in it for me, especially from the producing standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sean, I'm so sorry. I'll repost all your videos.
And thank you.
And
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. No, I do want to get into your social media stuff because you are crushing it with that, genuinely. And I appreciate the thoughts on like
Crushing it is kind of you.
Yeah.
He's so humble.
That's a subjective term.
I only know as a comedian 3 words to like encourage somebody, like crushing it, killing it, murdering, like anything just violent and destructive.
Yeah.
That's only way I know how to build someone up.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you guys sharing on the collaboration. I think everything you said is spot on. Without naming anybody, and please don't name me. I know I'm a weird guy with my flaws, but what are some of the like that push people away that comics do, or like the not a good hang, or any of the like here's what not to do? Please don't name names, but just like any of the examples you've seen, like this is how to not make it in comedy.
I honestly believe there's a lot of different ways to make people laugh, and I have certain preferences, right? But that doesn't mean that I won't book you on a show because I have a certain preference towards a certain style of comedy. I think the big thing is, you have to be respectful to the audience. I think that's a big thing. If I've seen you at other places and you're kind of really being mean, I don't like, that's a factor. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of different ways to make people laugh. And so I don't really judge people necessarily on what they're talking about. But hey, are you being funny? And then 2, are you respectful to not only the audience, but the venue and the producers and the other comics, stuff like that.
I think just be professional. Like, if a booker wants you to show up at a certain time, show up at a certain time. If they don't want you to talk about certain subjects, don't talk about those certain subjects. And if you have a beef with anybody or anything, don't put it on social media. Like, keep that inside.
Yeah.
Have a little text message thread with some people you trust. Vent that way. But like putting it on Facebook or Instagram is just other bookers will see that and they will not book you. Like you become unbookable when you're just have a lot of drama around you. So like just have somebody you can talk to privately, but don't put it on social media.
I would agree with that. I think looking at it from the producing standpoint, people that communicate well, people that are appreciative, like Sean said, just people who respect every aspect of the show. And respecting the crowd is a big one for me because as a producer, one of the hardest things to do is to get the crowd there for some of these shows. And we work really, really hard to get people in the seats. I mean, that's follow-up emails, that's reaching out to our friends, that's reaching out to our family. I mean, sometimes if we only have 2 reservations for a show, I'll reach out to my friends and be like, hey, I need a favor. Can you come to one of my shows to put people in the crowd? And then if a comic comes up, and maybe isn't performing their best and then just burns the crowd for the comics that are coming after them. And oftentimes, Paul, as a headliner, like, you're the people who have to deal with that. You're the people who end up with a crowd that's upset, a crowd that is not having fun, or maybe even walked, right? So now the headliner, who is the top dog in the show, ends up with, instead of the crowd of 30, a crowd of 10, right? And so I think respecting the show, going out there, doing your best. If your jokes aren't hitting, your jokes aren't hitting. You call it a day. But to be mad at the crowd is something that, me personally, that's just something that I don't enjoy. And then also, the drama, like what you said, I steer so far clear of that. If a comic comes up to me and says something about another comic, or like has beef with another comic, I'm like, it's probably you that I'm not gonna book, because that makes it more difficult for me to like think about, oh, if I book you, then maybe I shouldn't book this person. I'm like, and I don't have time for that. When you're booking a number of shows, I don't want to have to worry about who I'm putting on the show together, right? I leave all drama out of this. I try and stay as far away from it as possible. Sean has taught me this as well. Leaving some shows, some people will do really poorly, and I'll be quick to be like, oh man, they were really bad. And Sean has helped me, and I don't know if we've even talked about this, but Sean's helped me kind of redirect that into, they worked really hard at those jokes, and to try and have a positive mindset. So that's where I'm in now. So I try not to talk negatively about anybody, whether that's to their face or to anybody else, because that's worthless. It's all, you're trying to get ahead. You're trying to make your jokes better. Telling someone else that they didn't have it that night doesn't help anyone, right? So,
I also think just doing little things that might help create some good, good, especially if it's a local produced show. Like after the show, ask if you can help break down tables or carry something to a car. It's just like be courteous and try to help, and like I think that leaves a good taste in the mouth of the booker and or a venue, or even like even at a club, like don't put your trash from the green room in the trash can. Don't expect somebody else to come in at, like, just kind of just be professional and be easy to work with.
Ooh, I like that, being easy to work with. I would echo that. Be easy to work with. Create less problems for the producer, and you'll get further.
100% agree with everything you guys are saying. And I think for me too, it's realizing, not to get too deep on it, but just as being someone that I feel like I've experienced a lot of ebbs and flows with success in comedy over the first few years doing it, which is pretty common the more and more I dive into it. And just for how I'm uniquely wired, my personality, I'll just personalize it. I think it's very, very easy, and I see it play out all the time on like social media and all the negative ways you guys are describing, that you get in your own head about like whether it's your ego or your insecurities or whatever narratives your brain can concoct around anything that's happening, that probably like 90% of the time has nothing to do with you, like right, wrong, and different. It's just such a weird like headspace that you can get in sometimes, that I think brings out all these like antisocial and unprofessional behaviors that seem antithetical, to throw out another $15 word, to like what you're trying to actually accomplish as a comic or a professional, because it's such a social game. It's such a like networking, how you are as a person, because you're up there on stage with your personality. Are you funny? But are you good to hang out with? Or all these other things that it can feel like it's like a commentary on you if like XYZ doesn't go the way you want, or it can feel like a very personal, especially if you feel like you're putting a lot into it. And I think there's that compartmentalization that has to happen of, this is what it means to truly be a professional. This is what it means to like how I'm gonna, like Paul kind of mentioned, like keep it inside, not let whatever weird narrative spill out, and like actually just be somebody that people want to be around, and like work through, recognize like what is my own baggage that I bring to it. Because for me, I had this kind of fresh start in comedy of like, oh yeah, I've been in a band, I've done all these things, like comedy, this is for fun and all that. But then quickly, like the things start to build, like the calluses over time, and I had to realize like, Oh no, a lot of whatever I'm going through with this, like however I'm processing this art form and my relation to other people in it, is like these are things I've done my whole life. Like it doesn't matter what the thing is. So I think you have to have a lot of like introspection and self-awareness of how you even relate to the art form and the people around you. I know that's very deep, but I like think about these things a lot where there's such a psychology to it and it's such a tentative business because it is built on like each individual personality. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever thought that deep about it, but
I sometimes think that introspection is almost you can be taken too far. I think sometimes you need to be a little delusional to think that you can do something successfully for the long haul when on the day to day you're doing mics or you don't have that many shows booked this month or whatever. And I think delusion can actually carry you a lot farther than introspection sometimes. I mean, I think you need a combo, but I sometimes I think about it way too much.
You've done well with delusion.
Yeah.
No, but you watch some of these open mic comics, and you're like, they are so confident, and there is not one funny thing that they're saying. But
why are you looking at Sean?
Yeah,
You're
this is-
saying that. That
I'm
is
reading the wall.
Confidence. Never heard of her.
No. And you're like, when you realize there's nothing you can take from what they're saying, you can take some of their delusion and be like, oh my gosh, if I just had like, if you're not so critical on yourself and be like, you know what, I'm just going to let loose. I'm going to have fun with it. And oftentimes experience helps you be more comfortable on stage. But part of it is also being confident in yourself, but at the same time being like, I'm doing this, right? You have to have a little bit, it's delusional for anyone to think that they're going to crush really, really early on. But I think once you work at it, you build up the confidence, but you still have to have a hint, like Sean was saying, of just being like, yeah, this doesn't make sense, but I'm doing it, right?
I appreciate the role of delusion and how you shared about that because that is true. Like it's such a weird business to be in that way. That I think there is a psychology to it, but you're right. I've had to realize that for myself too. Is like there can be value in being very introspective, as is my nature. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a gift, but there's also a lot of like. Yeah, you just gotta you're literally getting on a stage saying, I'm gonna make other humans I've never met in a lot of cases laugh and think I'm funny. There's a lot of delusion to it. So I wanted to go back to the social media thing and my pilot not making it through the season of sight. I'm kidding.
This is your chance to air your grievances.
It was an audio problem.
Yeah.
This is how
There was an audio problem.
It was your voice.
it was your whole state of
Yeah.
being, Corey.
There was also a video problem.
We could not use delusion.
You were on
that.
You were on the video.
Sean's like, I would actually like to take this opportunity to tell you that you're not funny. I hate you. Everything you do, I've thrown in the trash.
No, don't worry. Like Paul said, I have a secret text message where I text about that.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
He uses a lot of gifs to
Yeah.
explain you.
Oh.
What an awful interview this would be if I was just like, all right, how can I air whatever perceived grievances I have with everything?
Remember, it takes some delusion. Some delusion.
No, oh gosh, I love you guys. Seriously, this is great.
Now it's weird.
All right.
Yeah. Oh crap! Am I supposed to say that back?
Mont's like, can you go back to being like insecure? That was a lot better than you being like loving and genuine. Okay, no, all right. Content creation, please. I'm gonna let you have the floor. You collaborate a lot with another good friend of all of ours, Alex King. You kind of focused on. I heard you in your interview with Nicole Curbs that I watched as part of the research and just for pure enjoyment. Let's
thank
be honest. You focus on like the guy who moved to Charlotte that knows nothing about Charlotte. So a lot of your videos. I was stalking you on Instagram last night, going through all the like videos you've done, trying to get a feel for it. And I know you do a lot on TikTok and you like kind of repurpose the content everywhere. But I noticed like just kind of for the Instagram like platform, the Reels, not every single video is like going viral or like always hit on the desire. But I say that the counterbalances a lot have. Like there's been a few videos that have like blown up, and I kind of noticed over the last few days as I was doing research, like your follower count like growing and impersonators aside that you have to deal with. But please, Mont and Paul, because I know you guys do a lot of content as well. Feel free to comment. But I just wanted to spend a few minutes getting your thoughts, Sean, on the content creator side of comedy, your strategy for it, like working with Alex, just, speak on that subject.
Yeah, and I think that it took a mental kind of shift for me because I was someone who only would post sketches that I thought were really funny and they were really goofy and they were way too long. And what you have to realize is stand-up comedy, at least to my knowledge, and again, I don't know that much about it, but there are a lot of factors that go into getting more stage time and being a better perceived comic. And social media is one of them. And it's a fact that, we just have to accept, right? And so I kind of not looked in the mirror, but got fired and had a lot more time and realized
His looks in the mirror are now hours long.
Yeah. I'm not just flexing in it anymore. I'm thinking, I'm trying to be introspective. But it's but you have to not only post videos that you think are funny, but what does the audience think is funny? It's like a joke in that way, right? Like some jokes are for you to do with your friends. Others are ones that you do on stage. Others, you can tell, just aren't connecting with the audience. So my strategy was, hey, let me try a lot of different types of videos, see what works, and then see if I can go from there. And some of them won't work. Some of them will. It's hard to get a gauge on the trend, but at the end of the day, what you have to realize is as long as the videos aren't hurtful to other people, people will either watch them or they won't. It's not like a self-worth thing. It's like hey, my goal is to get more followers so that I can go out and eventually use that number as a way to show producers that I could theoretically put butts in seats. And when you do that, you realize, okay, post as much as possible. As long as you also want it to be like a decent representation of you. You don't want to just post really bad things. I've done a few of those, as you mentioned, with the low view count. But then what do you find funny, and how do you tailor that to the theoretical online audience? And I'll just be very transparent. I don't know. I don't know the formula, right? It's like, when you see a stand-up and you see that they have 3,000 followers, that doesn't really mean anything, right? Like there's certain numbers that are milestones that you want to get to prove. But what you talked about with collaboration, yeah, I have funny people in my life that have great ideas, and I have a lot of time, and I'm like, hey, what can we do? How can we do this together? And how can we not stress about it and not spend 4 hours editing something that no one's going to watch, right? So like yesterday or 2 days ago, I did a video with Mont, and then I do videos with Alex, and then I do things by myself. And it's a numbers game, and that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You've done a great job with it too. I mean, it's not easy. I don't feel like I have the intestinal fortitude to quote vaguely reference another wrestler, Mankind, testicular fortitude. That was for Paul. To like put myself out there like that yet and kind of do those things and experiment with play around, because like once it's on social media, it just kind of like, I mean, obviously you can hide stuff, but it just kind of lives there. And it's that feeling of I'm a perfectionist, so I'm always like, oh, I want to do it perfect, or I want it to be every video to hit, or all these. So what I really respect about what you've done especially is just going for it, having that experimentation, and really putting yourself out there a lot. And I wasn't trying to call you out on the view counts or anything. I just saw the algorithm.
But that's the thing. You do have to, because in stand-up, I consider myself very much detail-oriented, and I don't want to post a stand-up. I don't post enough stand-up because I'm like, oh, this joke isn't done yet, right? But you have to realize this is a different medium, and you can really waste a lot of time editing. So what I do is I'll send a timer for 25 minutes. So I'm like, hey, from the time this starts to the time this ends, I have to film, edit, and post. 25 minutes, get that out in the morning, boom. And then hopefully it's funny. I'll think about ideas before then, but, yeah, and then just don't like tie your self-worth to a view count of people, because you also don't control the algorithm. You don't control, there are things you can control, like times and stuff, but at the end of the day, hey, this is just a vehicle to do stand-up and hopefully make people laugh, which it has. And some of the videos I think are stupid, but people, like literally this morning I went for a walk and someone recognized me as, hey, you're that guy who does that parking video. And I'm like, unfortunately, yeah.
And even at the Spin Cycle Laughs, you had people come out that like knew you from Instagram.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. And where's my royalty check from that? I don't know, but it is what it is.
It's going to come in nickels.
Yeah.
Anything from the laundromat. Just going to be like, your residuals are on the way. You'll hear them in the mail.
Like, did you go through each dryer and put your finger in the coin thing, see if you could find something?
Yeah. But I mean, Mont's posting stuff. I mean, he's taking it seriously. He started his own, comedy side hustle, which may be a full hustle, and there's like a lot of different ways to do it. You went with the high end version of it, which is, I think, a good strategy as well. But it's a numbers game.
Yeah, I think in the generations that we maybe grew up watching as far as comics, there's no one way to make it now. I think back in the day it was get up at the clubs, work in the clubs, and then your work gets around and people hear that you're funny, and then you go to another club and work another club. But now we're watching these social media stars come through to clubs in the area, and like they don't even have a comedy background, but their followers got them the opportunity, right? So I think social media is one way that's like it's very important right now. It's not something I do enough of, but it's something that I'm working on. And, I think, Sean, especially when you transitioned out of your job, say that a nice way.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't that sound good?
I was honorably discharged
when
from
he was-
helping people
when he was-
honorably discharged. Yeah.
When he was fired from the diaper gang.
Yeah.
He was like,
Charged worse than a. I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
go somewhere gross with that.
take that to the stage. No, I think he goes, I'm going to post every single day. And he stuck to that. And then it's went from 1 to 2 to 3. Like, that's the grind that a lot of people don't see. I mean, you're up there doing a 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute set, or 45, I think Sean does now. But it's like, you're not seeing the hours of work that goes into getting the social media stuff and the self-doubt. I find, for me, that delusion goes a lot into the social media, because I'll post something and be like, this isn't the best. This isn't great. But if it can make someone laugh, if it could further the career somehow, I think that's the importance of social media now.
Yeah, it's interesting though, like that there's an ego to it, but you also have to have the humility to like let your ego break and just like try stuff. So were you gonna say something, Paul?
Yeah, no, social media is the bane of my existence. Like, it's like I don't like it. I don't want to do it. But, that's the reality of the game is, clubs want to know how many followers you have, because they want to know, can you put butts in seats?
That's all that matters.
So you have to do it. And I don't love it, for sure.
Well, but you're trying, and I watch your
I am
stuff,
trying.
and hopefully compliment, hopefully keep going. Like Corey, you said, a lot of the videos early on that I posted were very low count, right? But it's just a matter of pushing through, and then you kind of see people catch on, and you change what you're saying, right? And like it's a balance, but it really is just kind of figuring out what that connection is to. I went local. That I don't think that's necessarily a strategy for everyone, but I was like, hey, if I can get this local community to like me, then theoretically I can sell seats to the local shows that we produce, but also then you can branch out from there. But you need, I was like, hey, I also don't really watch that many reels, so it's part of the problem with not knowing what to say. But like, I was like, oh, there's not that many comics in Charlotte talking about Charlotte stuff. So, okay, that's a niche. Let me go from there.
Sean's like, stay out of my lane.
Yeah.
I'm about to film a video.
Yeah.
No, that's,
No.
I got some ideas.
I'm kind of in the old man seat a little bit of like, I don't sit there and scroll reels and stuff, so it's like counterintuitive to me to like put all that time into it. I mean, I tried to film a reel to promote the first Spin Cycle Laughs, and I was so tired from dad life, and I was just so and Sean commented like, "Oh man, you're so excited, like you're so,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, we got this Spin Cycle Laugh show coming up." So I'm just like, man, how many followers does your lawyer friend that's more popular have?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
What's
like,
the goal? Did you?
He did. He was in the low 3,000s, and I hate saying the number of followers I have after talking like I know about social media.
No, you passed him.
Yeah, but I've passed low 3,000s. So
I love it. Well, one day I'm gonna let the
Yesterday.
sun of Sean Kett's social media presence shine on me again, like that fateful night at Middle James Brewing. And I'm going to come to you for like, hey man, I got a sketch vid idea, or I want to like get better at this, and hopefully you'll agree to tutor me.
But it's a collaboration thing. This is just another form, right? Like stand up you can only do at night. But what can you do comedy wise that you can do during the day? You know, I meet up with Alex all the time. Like with the social media thing, because it wasn't something that came naturally, I created a competition between me, Mont, Alex, and the week. Like, hey, who can post the most? Who gets the most followers? And it kind of trailed off, but still, it was like let's kickstart. How do we get ourselves to do this thing that doesn't come naturally?
Sean crushed us every month.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was
he
gonna
was
say, that's
he
why he
was
created it.
grinding, and then the idiot in me was like, "Hey, you want to do it again this month?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And then he did it again. So
Must be nice to be invited to something like that.
honestly, but
Yeah.
no, it's ask and I'll drive anywhere. I'll if you like, this isn't going to be a social media thing, but Skylar is producing a live sketch show in Davidson on Tuesday, and I'm really excited. It was like okay, let me write some sketches, whatever you need, because at the end of the day, it's another comedy thing, and I think comedy, if you only focus on the stand-up side of things, you can get a little stale, right? At least for me, I noticed that I was getting a little stale, and it's like, okay, what are other avenues that you can be slightly creative? And I think that they will all piece themselves together and kind of promote a better, funnier person.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Super cool you're doing that sketch thing, by the way. I saw that. I was like, oh, man, that's because I've never done improv. I actually meant to ask her about kind of the role of improv in comedy. I was thinking about even trying to take a class for the first time this year. I've never done it, but I grew up on SNL like a lot of us did, and there's so much value in like flexing that sketch muscle. And I appreciate what you shared too, just overall about stand up. But it's like for lack of a better analogy, it's like the football players who learn ballet or whatever. It's like anything you can do to sharpen your skills, to like train in a different way. Like it all ends up coming together to help out your overall goal of making it as a stand up. I think. And speaking of doing stuff during the day, I know we gotta like kind of last 10 minutes wrap up here, but Ma, I wanted you to touch on Carolina hecklers, everything you're doing with that.
yeah, so that is something that we're ramping up recently, and that's been taking a lot of my time, which is why I haven't made it out to very many mics. But like Sean said, there's a lot of different ways to flex sort of the comedy muscle to get those reps in. So yeah, we're going out to charity golf tournaments or any golf tournament at this point, really, to help them raise money, but also to heckle the golfers. And I think that works with just like spontaneity, being quick on your feet, and being able to like make quick jokes. Obviously, we are heckling, but it's a very much lighthearted heckles. And I was doing it for a company out west, and now I've kind of branched off to do my own thing. But it's been great. It's a ton of fun. It's a ton of work to get something off the ground. But we did our first tournament last Friday and raised over $4,300 for the charity. So like for me, all the jobs I've ever done, the more times it's a win-win, the more I love it. So we get to go there. I went out with Mike Bird, who's a hilarious comic as well. And we just roasted golfers for 4.5 hours. And then at the end of the day, when we're able to write the charity a check for that much money, I feel good about the experience we got. I feel good about the fact that we were out there from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then we could go home, take a nap, do a show that night. So filling the days with things that can help us later on stage. And I'm starting the Funny Bus. So I'm going to be leading tours on the Funny Bus soon. So it's like, that's the stuff during the day that's going to be very helpful in all coming together to paint that picture of who you are as a comic. And it's all these little things along the way. So yeah, I've enjoyed doing it.
I love that. And Paul, you have a dry bar special that has over 2 million views, and you've worked with some pretty.
Yeah, that's amazing. Give it up.
Like, just talk about that experience. And
Yeah, I mean, I can't take credit for any of it. So,
You're welcome, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was really special for me.
that was a collab with Sean.
yeah, Sean was not there, but he
inspired.
was inspired. Yeah, no, I was super lucky to even get a spot on Dry Bar, and then they put out that 10-minute clip, which was a little surprising because a lot of the clips they put out are only like 2 or 3 minutes, and they like put in like basically almost half of my special. They put it in one chunk, on YouTube, and it's done really well. I can't really say that it's opened like a billion doors for me, but I do think it has gotten me into some clubs just being able to say that you have a dry bar special. So super grateful for it.
And you've worked, I'm going to forget a lot of names here, but you've worked with a lot of heavy hitters too. Like I know Henry Cho is like a comedy mentor. You've worked with like Dustin Nickerson, Derek Stroop. You can name a lot more names than I can, but I wanted you to speak on that a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
what's it like to work with those guys?
Yeah, Henry has definitely become my mentor because he does things that headliners don't have to do. Like he will come up to the side stage at a theater and like we'll listen to like the last 15 minutes of my set. And then after his set we have snacks and he'll kind of give pointers. He's been super helpful with that process as far as just not really the joke writing, but like the big thing, that he's like, where are the words that you can take out? Can you cut the fat, or, you get a laugh here, but you go ahead and start on your next joke too soon and you're cutting people off from laughing. And so it's been a lot of growth stuff that I definitely wouldn't have noticed myself. So that's been great. And he keeps taking me on the road, and I've gotten to go to a bunch of states that I'd never been to before. So just that's super fun. And then some of these other names are just opportunities that have popped up, and super appreciative. Derek Stroop is one of the best. I mean, he's fixing to blow up. Like he's already blowing up, but his stuff is just so good.
And that's Mont has a.
I'm just a huge fan.
Okay.
I've been following him for a while, since I think I saw him open for Bert Kreischer like 6 years ago, and I was like, yo, he stole the show. So yeah, but I'll to touch back on what Paul was saying, that's the cool thing about sort of the Charlotte scene as well, is to have all levels of comics here, right? And Paul being someone who can go and crush an hour and can like really be someone to look up to in the scene. I mean, I feel bad for smaller cities who don't have people who have done dry bar specials, who are touring and doing stuff like that. So it's cool to be able, and he's still humble enough to come and do these small shows like the apartment shows that I do. Like it's nice to have people like Paul at headliner level comics in the scene who are willing to like come and do things that you can learn from. Even if he doesn't say anything, you can just, I mean, he's an introvert. He just wants to go up, do his work, knock it out. But there's things to learn from, and there's a handful of comics in the Charlotte scene now who have those credits and who have the opportunities that you're kind of seeing how they did it and trying to maybe mimic or learn or kind of follow in their footsteps a little bit. So yeah, it's big.
One thing I've learned is like there really is no shortcut. Like everybody wants to go from beginning to headlining, and there's a whole. I just think you just can't rush the process. Like even going out with Henry, like I didn't pursue that. That somebody, another comic I was featuring for, asked me like had a date in the future and was like, "Do you have anything that date?" I thought that they were asking me to open for them again. And it basically, they were supposed to open for Henry. They couldn't do it. So they passed my name onto them. And that was like just showing up, doing a good job with one person, opened a door with somebody that I had never even met or talked to or anything. And it was just, I just think things, if you are disciplined to what you're doing, to grow, to write, to perform, you will get noticed eventually, and there's no shortcut to that. But you've got to continually get on stage and perform, and and have the delusion that when you do horribly, to go back out and do it again. Those are the things that the mental part of it that you have to build up. in yourself.
It's definitely something that Sean and I have talked about too, quickly, to be like, we are confident that when the time is right for an opportunity, the opportunity will also find you. Like, to try and force yourself into an opportunity that may not fit because you're like, oh, I'm ready for it. It's better to just sit down, work hard, go out, do your best. Every big opportunity that I've gotten has just been from some random thing, more so than me like emailing a booker. Has been like, oh, I was in the Greenville Comedy Zone, and the guy who was there booked me for the Charlotte Comedy Zone. I mean, it was random, and I can't even call it luck, because it's like you're out there grinding. You know, if you try and force yourself into situations, you might end up somewhere where you only get one shot, right? I was doing comedy for like 3 months when one of my buddies was going to be headlining the Comedy Zone here in Charlotte, and I reached out to him and I was like, oh, I'd love to open for you. If he had said yes, I would probably have never gotten the opportunity to perform in the comedy, because I had no idea what I was doing. But that delusion was also like trying to force myself into situations that I wasn't ready for. So I know Sean and I have talked about being like, yeah, when the opportunity is right, it'll come. It'll be there, right?
And names are spoken behind. Like I was in Chattanooga last weekend, and somebody had asked where I was from. I said Charlotte, and they were like, "Oh, do you know Loic?" I was like, "Yeah," and they were buddies, and I worked with somebody near DC that knew Sean. So names pop up in green rooms and behind stages, and it's just, I think it goes back to being professional, be easy to work with. Like, if your name will pop up in places that you don't know, right. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun.
That's awesome. Great wisdom too, by the way, that you guys shared there. I heard Sean's like affirming, like
Sean's like, yes, I did say some good
yes,
things.
I'm so wise.
I did.
Someone talked to me one time about like the speed of trust, basically. I think it was a book or something, but I've learned that with comedy. Like, it takes so much to, like you said, there's no shortcuts to build up to that point where you're like really doing it at a professional level. And I've also seen the opposite, where the whole idea of the speed of trust is that like it takes so long to build trust, but like it can take a short amount of time to like break it. And I've seen that. I think that's why comedy can feel so tentative sometimes, because I've seen, I'm not going to call out situations, but and you guys have seen it too. I had a few recently this week I was thinking of that, like somebody runs their time really long at like a club audition, or somebody like just acts in the way you guys were describing earlier. And it's just like, boop, like kind of, you can just see it evaporate in real time, like how you handle yourself in certain situations. And I think that's one of the things that's always made me kind of so scared about it, to be honest, like, or have anxiety, like, oh my gosh, it just takes such a little thing to like, obviously you can't think that way to make it, but I think that.
Well, now that you put it in my head, thanks, Corey. Ow. All right, I'm nervous.
I think it does. It takes a long time to build it up, but like you said, you can lose it quickly. But I think it's not necessarily something to be nervous about, because if you're respectful, if you're professional, then you're not going to do anything that someone's gonna be like, oh, I'm never booking them again.
Sure. Right? Probably have a longer leash if you get a lot of the things right.
Yeah, exactly. And really, what's crazy too is if you're really funny, you're given a longer leash. So like your comedy, and it's all just like this picture of everything coming together to make it, or whatever that looks like. But I don't think it's, from a producer standpoint, you have to do something really wild, and you know it when you're doing it, right? If you run the light by 10 minutes, you're like, I'm probably not going to get booked here again. Like, you're not
start crashing out on.
So at that point, you might as well keep going.
Yeah,
it's like, I already ran the light. Let's just do this.
Nobody that shows up an hour late is going to be like, I wonder why I'm not getting booked there anymore. Like, these are things that are courteous and that are professional. And if you stay within those guidelines, you maybe don't even have to be that funny. If you're a good hang, I've seen people that are really fun to hang out with, who maybe not necessarily the funniest, get booked on other shows. And I'm like, okay, so it's really like this comprehensive picture of all the things.
Well, and self-awareness is an underrated character trait for sure. But there's also grace involved in these things, like you were kind of alluding to. And this pivots into kind of one of the last group question I wanted to ask. I know I got to get you guys out of here. Is the first weekend I hosted at Duckworth, like I was like, oh my gosh, the biggest opportunity I've had in my life to that point. And the very first show Thursday night, because I was like, well, I'm not gonna get into the whole make it a whole long story, but basically, it was the first time, and even to this day, which I guess should be proud of, that I just completely blanked on like a part of my set, and I didn't pivot at all. I just stood up there like a deer in the headlights. Like once it just started spiraling, once I like blanked, and I was like, wow, I've just tanked my whole comedy career in the span of like 30 seconds. And I went in the back, and Morgan, who's one of the managers there, become a good friend. Like she was incredibly gracious, and like everyone couldn't have treated me better. And like the next 4 shows were like some of the best shows I've ever been a part of to this day. Like, and it went super well. And they've invited, it turned like what could have been a real negative into like a real growth kind of thing. And I wanted to, pivot that to bring up the last kind of group question I had is just the role of local clubs like Duckworth's in comedy scenes, developing new talent, just how you guys perceive clubs and their roles in general.
Yeah, so when I was in Miami, I was very fortunate that there was a producer who produced off-night comedy shows at the comedy clubs, and these were 300, 350 seat places, and it was a really cool opportunity to do these shows that had really great comics in front of a really attentive paying audience, which you don't always get. And it proved to me that I could do it, and also proved that I have a long way to go. And having those opportunities, you also, it's like a real test to whether your material works, right? Because this is theoretically where you want to get to. And so having those opportunities where it's a club, they're inviting you, and here they also have that, at Duckworth, and then, if you're fortunate enough to get into the Comedy Zone. But it's like that's what we're trying to do. So any chance to get on those stages is imperative, right? Because you don't know you can do it. There's difference in the type of audience, where you're looking, how you have more space than you normally do to move around. There's a lot of factors that go into it that you can't really determine until you're on those stages.
Yeah, I think what you said about bookers or producers, having a short leash or a long leash, I do think in the clubs, the leash is a little shorter, because those are all paying customers. And so I think trying to get in too soon is actually detrimental to younger comics, because that leash will be short and you may not get it back, So I was like, just like everybody else, like that. I wanted to get in a club right away. Like that's what everybody wants. I want to do clubs, and it's like, I was politely said no to a lot, and I wasn't ready.
Yeah, and I say that even with the small shows that we produce, there are people who reach out who I'm like, I'm not sure it's a good fit. And I think over time, I mean, there are people who I know Sean and I have watched, and we're like, oh, yeah, I saw them last week at an open mic, and they crush now. Like you can tell when someone, and even someone who's not been in comedy, I haven't been in comedy that long, but you can tell when someone's getting significantly better, when someone's writing, when someone's putting in the time versus, and this is from someone who doesn't, like, I don't have a great eye for talent. In what I do have, I mean, there was a comic coming. I could say his name. It was Blake Conley. Like I watched Blake years ago, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw him, and we've had him at our shows numerous times, and I was like, oh, he's putting in the time now. Like you can tell, and now he crushes. I mean, he's doing so much better. So I love that. One, there's clubs here in Charlotte that are open to local comedy. And having local comedians, giving them a chance to get on stage. I mean, that's a big part of it. But I think, when the time is right, the opportunity will find you. And it's when you're ready. Like you got to put in the time, you got to put in the work. There's no shortcuts. You have to grind, hustle, do shows you don't want to do, but say yes as much as you can, and hopefully someone sees you in the right place, because, again, there's no roadmap. There's no guaranteed success. There are people I've seen who are so funny, who, for whatever reason, just might not get to that next level. And it's kind of depressing at times because I'm like, oh, that could be any of us. Like there might be this ceiling that we have no idea what it is. But yeah, to do the clubs here is always a great honor. So I know Sean's passed at Duckworth. Well, what?
Oh, wow.
Got a poster and everything.
Yeah,
I did. Thank you.
I wrote on it.
Yeah.
I drew a mustache on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to take each other down a peg to face it immediately, of course.
Yeah.
You have an honor for
I don't want Sean to feel too good about
Yeah.
anything.
Samantha saw it, and it's just a photo of me, and underneath it says "past," and she was like, "Did they think you died?" Yeah.
Well, they've
Fair
seen
question.
They've seen you bombing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was that what that meant?
Past opportunity. Yeah.
He murdered.
We passed on
we
him.
passed on booking him. That's
we put his picture up to let everyone else
We left him
know.
right on 8 times, so now we
Yeah.
just need to give him proof that
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
actually.
sorry.
He has performed here.
Yeah.
Not gonna make it. I do think that you have to use every no or not right now just as motivation instead of letting it beat you down. Well, it can do one or two things. It can beat you down, or it can motivate you to work harder and to keep going.
Yeah. And I think resiliency is another underrated character trait that you have to have, especially in comedy. Okay, so last question. I really appreciate you guys giving all this time. I kind of figured it would go this long, and this is kind of why I want to do it this way. But we're at the hour 45 mark. Incredible.
Nobody's still listening.
Oh, yeah. We're going to edit that down to 12.
Yeah.
12 minutes, yeah.
If you're still listening, find me on Instagram. I'll give you a free ticket to Monarch Market.
Yeah, what I didn't tell you guys, I'm actually cutting this down into like a 15-minute.
Yeah,
Should be all you and Paul.
Yeah.
My interview with Paul Snyder. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
what happened?
I swear I was there.
I
There
was
were even
there.
pictures.
There's
I don't know.
no, all the pictures, they were already deleted.
Don't know what happened.
For every perceived slight they've done against me, now it's my turn to cut out.
The accomplished dry bar comic, Paul Snyder and Corey Easter.
Me and Paul. Total. All right. This is kind of the opposite of where we were just headed with that. What is encouragement you guys would give, or just general advice, wisdom, anything you didn't say that's like, oh man, that got to remember to tell people this about like being in this business.
I mean, I've seen people at open mics that aren't very good. And
You can just say my name.
No,
Paul.
everybody's in that bucket. Even if you're established, like at open mics, if you're trying out some brand new stuff, you might not be very good at. But I really enjoy the people that you're like, you can tell that they are having fun. Regardless of what the audience is reacting to, they are having fun. And like, I just think that's got to be part of it. Like you gotta be enjoying yourself up there. If you're not, then go do something different, I guess. Like, because this should be fun. Making people laugh is one of the greatest feelings in the world.
That one day Mont will feel.
That one day,
I've heard about it. It sounds awesome.
it is, and we hope that you can feel that.
I don't know,
same
man. Someday.
someday.
It's funny because I was actually going to say the same thing. You sometimes forget when you're like trying to craft jokes that they are meant to make people funny and not be structurally sound. And I remember a note that someone who was a friend of mine gave me was like, "Hey, when did you stop smiling on stage?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not smiling. I'm like having a terrible time trying to memorize this joke and then say it into a microphone." And it's something that I have to constantly remind myself. Because I think if you're having fun, the audience will have fun typically, and it's just like, you have to remember you're doing this because you're having fun as well. It's not just a business of trying to do joke.
Do joke.
Joke.
All right, there you
Hey.
go.
Hey,
Still
you are
unemployed.
awesome, Mont.
Dude.
Remember that. Okay.
Hey, Mon, do joke.
I get to stage. I do joke.
That 100% should be a title of this episode. Do joke.
Do joke with Paul Snyder. No, something you mentioned earlier, Corey, that I've always thought of is just giving yourself grace. Man, it's so easy to beat yourself up. It's so easy to go back. We were joking about it before we even recording, like watching your set. To go back and watch your set and be like, the easiest way to edit it is just to delete the whole thing and be like, it never happened. But no, I take something from everyone, and everyone you come across, there's something to learn from. There's some way to get better from everything that you see, even if it's someone who doesn't necessarily do the same type of comedy as you. I think to go in with that mindset, and make sure that you're not beating yourself up when you have a bad set, when you are having writer's block, when you sit down and nothing funny comes from what you're doing, just to be like, there's tomorrow, right? And you're ready for whenever the opportunities come. If you see people who are getting opportunities that you think you should have, give yourself grace. Be like, no, there's a time for me to do that. I'm going to work harder, right? It's as opposed to getting sad, to get better, right? And I think that's one of the most important things. And when that day comes that I crack a joke and someone laughs,
that'll be great.
I'm going to call up Sean and be like, Sean,
I hope somebody records it.
Yeah.
I'm going to call up Sean and be like, Sean, I did joke.
I did joke.
That's what happened. I just did it.
I think if you don't give yourself grace, like if you drive to Atlanta to do a set, like that's a really long drive back.
Oh God, yeah.
in your own feelings, if you cannot give yourself grace, you're gonna burn out really fast for sure.
Your days are numbered if you are that critical on yourself, and maybe that's part of the delusion too. Was being like, oh, maybe it was, even if you had a bad set, to be like, learn from it, take something from it, and be like, okay, this is what I can take to my next set. And make sure that there is a next set, because it's very easy for someone to bomb and be like, oh, I was supposed to do a show. Or we all have the butterflies before a set. Like I have them when I'm sitting at home and I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like, what if I'm not funny? I'd be like, no, we can't have those doubts. You have to be ready for it.
I still have sets that after I get done with it, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing comedy anymore. It's like there's moments that will just kick you in the gut.
Yeah.
And if you can't give grace, or if you can't, let yourself feel it, but if you can't brush it off after that,
put those feelings in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the direction is getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think, well, maybe it was the clothes I was wearing. So I'm just, it's not my joke. Maybe it's the aesthetic.
It's not those cargo joggers.
Yeah. Maybe it was my shoes.
The camouflage pants.
Yeah. Maybe it was something different.
Do joke, have fun.
Do joke.
Be grace. No sad, get better.
Yeah.
Blame clothes.
Blame clothes.
Blame clothes or audience.
Yeah.
I'll save the genuine moments for the end of the show here. That made me feel a lot better listening to you guys say that, because I think there's, to bring it full circle, kind of talking about in the beginning, comedy can feel very siloed at times, and you can get in your own head positively or negatively all the ways about all of it. But I think it really helps to just be able to be like, oh yeah, we are in this alone to a certain degree, but you're also not in it alone. And people have gone through the same things. Any positive self-delusional thought you've had, other people have had about themselves, any insecure, I suck, this is the worst, whatever people have had about themselves. And we're all just trying to navigate that separately. But I think the more you can do it, together and make friends and have people to go through that with. But everything you guys said, I'm not going to reiterate it, but I have found it all to be very personally applicable for myself, especially in those moments where I've had a month where I'm not doing any shows or whatever, and you're just kind of sitting there and you're stewing in your own thoughts, and you're getting for me at least, I'm not going to speak for other people, you're getting depressed, or should I even do this anymore? Or I quit, or what's wrong with me, or all the different things you can go through. And I think the longevity of it, to be able to come out the other side and to work harder and to learn and just have more fun with it and just basically apply all the wisdom you guys shared. It's so gratifying for me personally, those times when I come out on the other side of that and I'm like, look where we're all at now. This is so cool, to just push through and not, because it's quite a weird business. So I appreciate you guys sharing all that encouragement. I find it personally encouraging. Where can
Corey, we were not encouraging you. I don't know if you got the message, but
it actually makes me feel a lot better for you to just spell it out for me instead of making me guess. You're like, you suck. Do not take encouragement.
I thought this was for the general audience. Yeah.
Not for you.
Sean, everything he said is that he's going to take all of this to heart, and you leave it off with something he's going to think about for years.
I take it all, and I have a recording of it. What a gift.
He has to go back and edit this
every day.
This is great. I can't wait to what is going to be the 2 hours in my life that I go back and listen through this and just luxuriate in it. It's awesome. Great. Okay, so where can people follow you guys, get connected, website, social media, all the things. And this will all be in the show notes too, by the way. So
if you just look me up, Sean Kett on Instagram or TikTok, it'll pop up.
Wow, what a flex. He's like, yeah, maybe you've heard about my 3,000 followers.
I have great SEO.
He's like, I pay a bunch of, no, man, I got a bunch with all my side hustles. Montgomery Major would be the Instagram. It won't pop up, but if you type that in letter for letter, Carolina Hecklers and Crown Comedy. Those are all 3 Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Yeah, follows would be appreciated. There will be funny stuff someday when I get Paul on my shows.
Yeah.
Just not YouTube, right?
Oh yeah, don't look me up on YouTube. Yeah, that's bad. If you're looking me up on YouTube, it's Sean Kett. Sean Kett.
I actually went to tag Sean one time on a YouTube for like the spin cycle last video you took, and I was like, "There's so many Sean Ketts on YouTube." I found you. I was like,
I don't know if we have time for a very short story, but
Mont's got the tea time. I don't know.
Yeah, I just texted my buddy. I'm going to be late. It's fine.
Okay.
I'd rather be. I'm not going to say that. He might listen to this.
Okay. Moving on.
So when I played basketball, there was a very funny. I had 5 guy friends who created a chant. It was Sean Kett makes me wet, and there was all these. They would like hold these like posters in the in the crowd.
Now, can we mute that?
But so there was a photo of me
After dark
online.
portion.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
Turn.
it's just a chant. It could mean whatever
took-
you want it to mean. But someone came up to me at a show like 4 months ago and was like, "Oh my God, you're Sean Kett. Did you play basketball?" Because I have a friend named Sean Kett who uses that photo of the people holding the sign as his profile photo. Yeah.
Was it you or is it different?
No, a different guy used that chant to, bolster his claim. So there are a lot of Sean Ketts out there.
Wait, there's 2 Sean Ketts playing basketball?
No.
Match.
It was me. He just used a photo of basically of
okay.
me on his Facebook or whatever.
He's not a basketball player.
No.
Okay.
He just stole my incredible chant, best chant in D3 history.
Yeah, I was like, wow, the Matrix is real.
D3.
Someone give me the cliff notes on that. That was as Luik would say.
You could have
A
led
long
with,
walk to a
thought
small
it was-
house.
I thought it was pretty
you could have
fun.
led with D3.
I could have never even gotten to walk on in my NAIA school, so that's a
There
flex.
you go.
Impressive.
Where to find you,
Paul,
Paul?
sorry.
Yeah, what's your
Paul Snyder Comedy.
Formerly known as Introvert Comedy.
It used to be Introvert Comedy, and I've branched out.
Wow.
Yeah, he has way more jokes than just being
Just
introverted.
to go to just Paul Snyder Comedy. Yeah. I thought the introvert thing just kind of bottled me in a little much, so decided to go with my name.
Nice. I'm glad that was the first thing I brought up about you then.
Yeah, I don't really do that anymore.
That was when I was getting started, and there's so
Yeah.
much more to me now.
Wow, Corey, do you actually research your guests? You liar.
You're not.
You did a surface glance there.
I told you 3 minutes on Paul. The rest was on.
Yeah, really the deep dive on Mont.
Not a lot to see. Pretty shallow pool here.
You're such an iceberg. No, it's one day we'll have the debate, or not even the debate. The question of like, do you just stick with your at the Easter dude or Montgomery Major? Do you have to have comedy in the socials? I think about that sometimes. Weird little details.
Yeah, I'm riding with this. If you see the name, you know it's funny.
Remember the name. You know what Mont is. All right. Now I'm going to get extra genuine. Please follow their work. Please support these guys. They are incredible humans, incredible comedians. I like to think after today, now they're great friends. We'll see how that goes. But Mont's like gritting his teeth, like, jury's still out. No, these guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show, spending all this time. It truly means a lot. I know we were joking about the having you all on at once, the individual, all that stuff. I really love what you guys do. I've learned a lot just from watching you, from interacting with you, asking questions. Sean's like bulking up over here off the compliments.
Trying to get a tan from these fluorescent lights.
So white.
Make me look like I'm from Miami, Poppy.
Here's one for you. I don't think I would still be doing comedy if it wasn't, for having people like you in my life, just to watch your example, like be able to talk to, like be myself with, like have the encouragement. Even something as simple as like, yeah, I'll give you the 10 minutes at Monarch on the brunch, like just little checkpoints along the way that have been so encouraging for me. And especially you coming on the podcast, I have to be, like we were talking about producing comedy shows, I have to be selective with my podcast guests. I have to because it's time, it's money, it's like all these things that I have to like make sure I'm putting together great podcast episodes. So, I'm like, all right, these are 3 people I absolutely want to have on and to highlight for all those reasons. So before I make it weird by continuing to compliment you for like 5 more minutes, just thank you for coming on. I've had an absolute blast. I'm excited to listen back to this. If anyone's made it this far, I think it's because of just we all had a great time. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming on the Easter Pod.
Thank you.
Thank you.